Hello everyone, welcome to VLGA Connect. It's the weekly newsroom feature with Kathryn Arndt, the CEO of the VLGA. And I've got to say, Kathryn, I'm loving that bright look you're wearing this week. Hello.
Hi there, Chris. Thank you. This was just an old jacket I found in the back of my closet and I thought I'd get it out. I was just reflecting, I think I've actually had it since about 2003. So there you go.
I thought you were literally going to do that, this old thing line. But it's very nice. It suits you. I like the colour. But we're not here to do fashion critiques.
We could, but that's not on newsroom today. I think before we get into it, I do just have to make an announcement, and that is that Councillor Denise Massoud, who is a board member of the VLGA and a councillor at Whitehorse, a long-term councillor there, was elected as the VLGA's new president last Thursday. So congratulations to Denise, and we look very much forward to her leadership in that role. And I think we might have her on the program, Chris, to talk to you about her visions for the VLGA and the work that we do.
Would love to speak to her about that. We'll look forward to that. Well done, Denise. Yes, I think you had all of your positions up for election, did you not, at your latest board meeting? You've got some continuity in other office bearers?
We have. I'd be neglect if I didn't mention that Louise Hill was re-elected as the board's vice president, and also Andrew Sloman was elected as treasurer. So congratulations to all of those office bearers. And I must say that the board has a very strong strategic vision for the organisation, and continuing to support the work that we do in supporting the local government sector.
Good to hear, and I will look forward to speaking with Denise on the program. So Kathryn, look, another week, another extension to lockdown, regional Vic back in the fold with Melbourne in that sense. I guess the narrative seems to have changed a bit, doesn't it, in the last week or so? We're starting to really hear a lot of talk about, what the other side of this looks like and when it might arrive.
Certainly we are, Chris. It's something that, surely isn't sustainable for so many different reasons into the future. I did note that the state government in Victoria today announced the extension of the vaccination rollout to I think it was all people over the age of 16 are now eligible to be vaccinated and have access to that, which is, of course, welcome news given the number of children and young people that we see currently being infected with the Delta strain of the virus. At a federal level, I think we saw some financial assistance, support released today for childcare centres. We know that, of course, as many industries have been impacted, that childcare centres have certainly borne the brunt of COVID and just the important role that those centres play, not only for children, but also to support those essential workers and people out there in the workforce who need to somehow continue working, through this period of time.
Of course, there are different operating models for childcare centres, and I haven't looked into the detail of this yet, but I do wonder whether council-operated childcare facilities will be eligible for this support. Have you heard anything about that,
Kathryn? I haven't, Chris. I must say I haven't read the full detail of the announcement, but we might include that link with this episode and also do a little bit more research into that.
All right, so keep a watching brief on that. We have on VLGA Connect some really interesting conversations coming up, Kathryn, about the broader sector context. I know that David Morris, the Shadow Minister for Local Government, has agreed to come on the program. You're going to join me for that conversation.
Terrific. Looking forward to that. It's very important that we engage with all stakeholders as a peak body for local government, supporting governance, in particular in the local government sector. Many of our viewers might be aware that David is the Shadow Minister for Local Government and has also been a former mayor and councillor. He's had the portfolio a number of different times throughout his political career in state parliament, but be really good to get David's, I guess, observations of the sector. And he's now been in the portfolio for a few months and been talking to a few councils, and to hear, I guess, the feedback that he's receiving.
And Kathryn, one of the things that I'm finding really useful with the VLGA Connect platform is to explore some of these issues that might not be direct local government issues, but have some sort of influence or impact, such as the new child standards that are coming in next year. And I've recorded a conversation with the Commissioner for Aboriginal Children and Young People about those, and particularly the new cultural safety requirements. A lot of community groups perhaps don't realise yet they're going to have to be incorporating that into their training.
Yeah, look, you're exactly right. There was an announcement about those new standards which come into effect from the 1st of July 2022, or probably a couple of months ago now, by the state government, but there are implications for community groups. So the VLGA, of course, supports the local government child-friendly cities network, and we've had their convener on the program before, and we've also had the Commissioner for Children and Young People, Liana Buchanan, on the program. There might be an opportunity to invite Justin and Liana, together with the convener of the Child Friendly Cities Network, to talk about, you know, if there are any implications, in particular with these new child safety standards for local government, but also, as you said, you know, have a conversation for those other stakeholders, such as community groups, who may actually not be across these issues, and, you know, whether or not there is a potential role for local government to offer some support, or at least through the VLGA Connect platform, offer the information to these groups that provide such important services in local communities.
That's a great idea. So look out for that one. These panels give us an opportunity to go so much more in depth, of course. And I'm thinking back to last week with the global panel on building community wealth. I've noticed a lot of people taking the advantage of watching that back, which is great to see.
Yes, look, we had over 140 people registered for that global panel, and what a stellar lineup of speakers that we had. It was, I think it just flew really, and I think that in terms of the time, and I think that that's an indication of the quality and of the conversation, and also the interest that the audience had demonstrated through the number of questions that were being asked. You know, to have Craig Hatton there from Ayrshire Shire Council in Scotland talk about how far they've come on their journey of implementing community wealth building, and, you know, why they went on that journey, and you know, about making things essentially fairer and stronger within their municipality. We heard from Monica Barone, who's the CEO of the City of Sydney. Now, they've just commenced their journey along this path, but the amount of passion and I guess thought that clearly Monica has put into this was really highlighted through her presentation. And I did like how she related the economic argument, you know, the financial argument, why it was financially and economically, as well as a fair and strategy to implement, would benefit the municipality of Sydney, and also its touch points on the planning system. So I think there's another live panel conversation in that. We had the Local Jobs First Commissioner or Acting Commissioner on the program a little while ago, and I think might be nice to actually incorporate you know, that commission's work with this community wealth building strategy. And we could invite Pat Fensham from SGS Economics and Planning, who was also on our panel last week and has really done a lot of thinking and research into this, and target the conversation for planners, social planners, for economic development, and anyone else who's interested. But there was certainly a few people in the audience who were going away to talk to their council about it.
You've got all the ideas today. That's another fabulous idea, Kathryn. Look forward to seeing that one take shape. What about our global panels, though? The relationship between the VLGA and the LGIU has delivered a couple of terrific sessions so far. What's next?
Well, a hot topic. It's a hot topic globally, and hence it's ideal for a global panel, and that's the issue of housing. There are many things happening in Victoria and within Australia in regard to housing, and certainly that's an issue for our colleagues over there in the UK.
You're right, it is a hot topic. I've reported on a number of councils on the Local Government News Roundup just in recent months declaring housing affordability crises. In some cases, it's about being able to accommodate workers that are needed at particular times of the year. And I noticed that the House of Representatives Standing Committee on Tax and Revenue is opening an inquiry into housing affordability and supply in Australia. And I would expect most local governments around the country would be interested in having something to say at that inquiry.
Indeed, and so we'll include a link to that with the program so people can have a look at how they might make submissions to that inquiry. And of course, Victoria recently announced a social housing initiative, which I believe is getting a lot of talk or is being talked about out there in the sector. So I think we'll think long and hard, but we probably don't have to look too far to get some speakers for that panel.
No, what I have noticed is alliances springing up, alliances of councils trying to work together on not just the housing problem, but the homelessness problem more specifically as well. And with the big housing bill that's rolling out, there are some that are taking advantage of that straight up. Others are saying they're missing out or being left behind. So, there's no perfect one-size-fits-all solution for these problems, is there?
Look, there's not. They're complex issues, and I think that's why we do need to talk about them. The benefit of the partnership that you highlighted that we have with LGRU is that we have the benefit of sharing the thinking from other jurisdictions into the conversation, and often we the benefit of that is that we can learn from others who've already gone perhaps further down the path than we have.
The other big bit of news, there's lots of news around, we can't get to it all, I don't think, today. But the other big bit of news is the release of the new 30-year strategy from Infrastructure Victoria late last week. I imagine most, if not all, councils are busily really scrutinising that to see what it means for them potentially. And I think there's a few big ticket surprises in there.
Yeah, look, there are. I think there are over 94 recommendations. The CEO of Infrastructure Victoria, Michelle Mason, who we've had on the program before, did write to me the other day, summarising the report. I think we might have Michelle back on the program to talk to you, Chris, about what those recommendations mean for local government. There was a focus, or at least around a quarter of the recommendations, focus on developing regional Victoria, a lot of top regional infrastructure priorities, from the Mallee to Gippsland areas to help reduce disadvantage, build on economic strengths, and address environmental risks. So as we know, we did, when we spoke to Michelle, I think it was last year now, that the priorities in this particular strategy would be on improving digital connectivity, long-term road and rail maintenance funding, and upgrading power infrastructure for agricultural and regional industries. But it was also, there was a strong focus, and the themes of this was really around energy, water, environment, and health and community services and justice. So there were some key themes that those 94 recommendations seek to address.
So that would be great to try and unpack that a little with Michelle if he comes on the program in the not too distant future. Kathryn, there's been a lot to get through there. And before I let you go, I do want to give you an opportunity to talk about the Fast Track Part 2 leadership program for mayors and councillors. I know this is frustrating, folks. It's had to be pushed back again because of restrictions. We've got fingers crossed for Friday, the 1st of October at this stage.
That's correct, yes. So I think information will be going out very shortly about the detailed program for that event, but registrations are open on the website for the 1st of October. Fingers crossed that we will be holding that in person at the RACV Club. We have the Minister for Local Government, Sean Lean, making himself available, as he did earlier in the year, to answer questions from the floor and share his, I guess, priorities for the sector. be really interesting to hear from the Minister on the Cultural Review initiative that is about to be, I think, formally announced. It's impending, I think, a media release in regard to that will identify the consultants and academics who've been engaged to lead that particular piece of work, predominantly focusing on behaviours and that issue that we've talked about before, and that is the relationship between councillors and council officers, also the relationships between councillors themselves as a group, which leads me probably into the next important live panel session that we'll have, and that is the role of mayor. Councils will be starting to think about mayoral elections, and as we did last year leading into that time, you know, I think bringing a panel together of former mayors and also others to comment about, you know, the attributes of a mayor, what is the role of a mayor, and now that councillors are, you know, into their first term of council, almost at the end of that first term, perhaps some of those conversations will resonate even more.
And there are some new elements of the Local Government Act that have now been in place for some time, particularly in relation to the role of the mayor, that it might be interesting to get some insights into how that's working out as well.
Indeed.
Panel. Great idea. All right, thank you, Kathryn. That's probably all we have time for this week on the newsroom. Thank you, as always. Stay safe in lockdown, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon, Chris. Thank you.
Kathryn Arndt is the CEO of the VLGA. That's our newsroom feature for this week from VLGA Connect.